Hello and welcome back to another educational course series presented by Continuing Educations along with Gina Marie Products and GM Revolution Men's Skincare. We're so excited for you to be with us today. And if you haven't seen any of our previous videos, what we're going to be talking about today is how to advance the role of the professional outside of the treatment room. And so at Continuing Educations, our goal is to really provide a holistic view of the education that you are provided. So not only are you going to become skin, hair, nail experts, but we also want to set you up for success outside of that treatment room. And so if you haven't seen any of our other videos, what we're doing in this course series is we are touching on different topics from understanding your customers, building a cohesive brand. And today, what I'm going to be talking about with you today is how to build a successful business model. And so at the core of everything that we do is a successful business model. And so I'm going to give you actionable steps to where you can go fill out a business model yourself, and it's never too late to get started if you're already in business. That being said, I'm going to share my screen. I do have a presentation. Alrighty, so as I said, the title for today's class is going to be How to Build a Successful Business Model, and I am your host, Michael McGuire. I'm the CEO and co-founder of GM Revolution Men's Skincare. And if you have never met me before, just want to give a little bit of an introduction. It's nice to virtually meet you, but my background in the skincare industry is a really fascinating one. I was fortunate to grow up in the industry with a mother who had her own skincare line. I always like to say that I had a skincare routine by the time I was 9 years old. And for me, it was very second nature. And it wasn't until I went off to school and realized and looked at the other men around me, the young men, and realized that my experience with understanding skin and its importance for men was unique and that I was kind of alone in that situation. And so what we did, we took my passion for entrepreneurship and problem solving and really my passion for creating brands, and we started GM Revolution Men's Skincare, where we are hoping to bring professional skincare products to men. And we really feel that there's a gap in that industry, and we're happy and excited to continue to fill that gap. So that's a little bit about me. So what can you expect for this class today? Today, what we're talking about is becoming a business professional. I know all of you are skin professionals, hair professionals, nail professionals, and if I ever need a treatment, I know exactly where to turn to. But if you're sitting here, I do want to challenge you to reflect. When was the last time that you freshened up your business skills? We're going to be talking about business literacy today, of just understanding key terms that are used in the business world and really breaking them down to be very understandable and actionable for you to then go take and implement into your own business. Finally, everything that we're going to be talking about today is just a new way of thinking. I know that a lot of times in business, we can just get wrapped up in the day-to-day of things, but at the end of the day, we have to be financially driven to keep our doors open in order to best satisfy our customers. So that's our agenda today. So if you haven't, as I mentioned, this has been a little bit of a course series, a business building course series. And in one of the videos, we dive into creating a cohesive brand. And in order to talk about building a business model, I first want to start with recapping on building a brand and what it takes to build a brand, because I feel like once a successful brand has been made, the business model naturally follows. And so this is just a couple of key highlights of what we talk about in those other videos. I would highly encourage all of you to go and watch those. But essentially, the main thing that we talked about in our branding video is that branding is not how you think of yourself, but rather your brand is how others think of you. It's how your customers think of you. It's how people that might not even be your customers yet, it's how they think of you. And so in order to create a successful brand, your goal is to align how you think of yourself with how your customers think of you. When those two things are aligned, that is the definition of successful branding. And so it's important to understand of how you want to view yourself, of what your North Star is, what you're going out to achieve, and also important for your customers to associate that image of yourself with you as well. And so, like I said, cohesive branding allows customers to identify you without even seeing your name. That's a good indicator of successful branding. Think of all those brands just off the top of your head. If you see a golden arch driving on the highway, you don't have to see the name to know that that's a McDonald's. That's a definition of successful branding. You see a laptop with an Apple logo on it, you know it's a Mac. So that's just an example of, without even seeing your name, this can be done by what font you're using, what text, what colors, what kind of images you're using. All of that goes into creating cohesive and consistent brand. Also, your brand, what should it stand for? It should stand for everything that you aim to become. Your brand, when you're defining it, is really your North Star. And once you define what that North Star is, implement that in everything that you do. I have the word here, consistency, and that's really key when it comes to branding. You want a consistent brand so your customers understand and identify it immediately. And the only way to do that is consistency. Like I said, whether it's fonts, colors, images, your website should match how your social media looks, just different things like that. So that's just a little bit of a branding recap, because that's really that's the foundation of how to build a successful business model. Like I said, a defined brand leads to a thought out business plan. And so what we're going to do today is break down the components of what goes into a business plan. And so at the core, we like to say the mission statement. It's very similar to a brand statement, but the mission statement is really defining who you are and why. And in the next slide, I'm actually going to go break down how to create a successful mission statement. But ideally, what we're doing with the mission statement is identifying who we are, who we aim to serve, and why we do it. Those are the three components of a mission statement: who we are, who we're serving, how we serve it, and why we serve it. I think I missed that as the first one. Secondly, what goes into a business plan is a market analysis. So you have to understand, who are your competitors? Who are your customers? And a lot of people, when they first start a business, there's a lot of naivety of saying no one else is doing what we're doing and that we don't have competitors. That's not really the case. And if that is the case, please tell me your business plan. I'd love to hop on that train. But in reality, competitors are always existing. And it's even important to remember, when it comes to professional men's skincare, a lot of times we struggle with who are our competitors. There's not a lot of players in the game of really focusing just on professionals for men. There's obviously a lot of retail products out there, but the alternative to any competitor is your customer doing nothing. And so we like to say, when it comes to men's skincare, our biggest competitor is water. Our biggest competitor is a man not washing his skin. So you have to have a holistic view of exactly who your competitors are and how they rank. Along with this, in a business plan, we're going to be talking about defining products and services and how you can relate those to your customers. Along with this, once you do identify them, identify the different revenue streams. How do your products come in? What other services do you have? And can you build upon them? We're also going to be looking at defining our costs, and finally, marketing and sales. Those are the key components of a well thought out business plan. But back to the mission statement. When it comes to a mission statement, we want to keep it short and direct. And so, like I said, our mission statement is the guiding light in everything we do. And the nice part about this, I always like to say that the mission statement should be lofty. It should be a high goal. It's who you want to become, and understand that you may never get there. But give yourself big shoes to fill, and eventually, you can get closer and closer every single day. But the nice part is, like I said, the day-to-day of business, I understand that it's not always easy and it can get difficult, to stay motivated and whatnot. But when you have a solid mission statement, it really does allow you to hold yourself accountable, to really understand how well you're fulfilling that mission. How well are you fulfilling your customers' needs? It's just a nice piece to keep you waking up every morning. So, like I said in the mission statement, three components of that: identify what you do, why you do it, and for whom you do it. So on the next slide, I've got some great examples here of what I consider really successful mission statements that narrow down those three components. So Starbucks has a great one. It's short, it's direct, and it really hits those three key points. So their mission statement is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. And so going back to what I said, this is a lofty goal. These are big shoes to fill of inspiring and nurturing the human spirit. That's not done overnight, and it's not done with one cup of coffee, but it's a goal that they hope to achieve. And so in this, they do identify what they do. They what they do is they inspire and nurture. Who do they do it? One person and one neighborhood at a time. And how do they do it? They do it from one cup at a time. The next mission statement is our very own Gina Marie. And same thing, it does align with those three components. So I'll read this to you. The mission statement of Gina Marie is to educate individuals on caring for their skin through our effective, simple, holistic skin care and clean cosmetic line. Inspiring true beauty and enhancing that which lies within each of us is at the heart of our company. So like I said, lofty goals that we're talking about here, inspiring true beauty, enhancing that which lies within each of us. That's what we hope to aim to become. And that is done over time. Your mission statement is a work of art that your customers, get to experience every time they interact with your brand. So step one of the business plan, I always like to start with a successful mission statement because that really tees up everything that you do for success. Depending on the mission statement, it can start to, align what products and services you're offering that you may not even have ever thought of just by the language you use in your mission statement. So it really creates an opportunity to continue to brainstorm and build upon everything else in the business plan because you can pick apart each word in a mission statement and think of how can we incorporate this elsewhere in our business. So with that being said, I want to introduce one of my all-time favorite tools. Like I said, I have a background in entrepreneurship. It's one of my really true passions. And no matter what business I have started or consulted on, I have used this tool called the Lean Canvas business model. And what it does, it breaks the entire business down into some really small, actionable steps and just topics that you must address in order to create a successful business. So with that being said, this is the Lean Canvas business model. I got this resource at the link below. They have great free business resources. I encourage you to look at it on their website. It's leanstack.com. And so this is the Lean Canvas. And so what it is doing, it is breaking down all the different components, and you get to see just a one page of all the moving parts within your company. And so we do read it left to right, but you can also pick and choose in which order. There's people, if you watch some other videos on this, some people like to start all the way on the right with your customer segments. You can really go about this any other way, and it's a living and breathing document. But what this Lean Canvas business model is going to highlight, it's going to highlight your problems, those solutions directly related to the problems, your unique value proposition, your unfair advantage. And this is language we're going to dive into as I break each of these down, because I understand this can be a little bit confusing if you've never seen this before. But once you do understand it, you're going to love it. I guarantee you. And if you haven't filled out a business model or business plan before, I think this is the best way to start because it's all on one page. And it, like I said, it's a living, breathing document where you can see how all of the different moving parts of your business interact with each other. And then moving all the way on the far right, we get into customer segments. At the bottom, we highlight our costs and compare it on the right hand on the bottom with the revenue streams. So like I said, everything from marketing, sales, problems, customers, revenue, overhead costs, that's all going to be captured on one page. So it's a great way to understand your business as a whole. So with that being said, let's break down what I always like to do. I do like to start with identifying your customers. And if you've seen some of our videos before, especially in this business course series, I have an entire video on not only identifying your customers, but understanding them. So I would encourage you to go after this, check out that video, and I'm going to give a little insight into what that video is here. So if you've seen it, this might be a good refresher, but you can never hear it too many times. And so when we're looking to identify our customers, what we're really doing is we're trying to identify what are their pain points and how are you qualified to solve them. Remember that in the beauty industry, it's also called the service industry. And so, what is the service industry? Our customers are coming to us with problems and they expect us to have the solutions. And so, if we're not qualified to solve them, I guarantee you they will go to someone else who is qualified, someone that does hear them, someone that understands their pains, understands the struggles that they're going through, and have catered their service to directly solve those issues. On the flip side, we do need to understand their pains, but we want to understand what motivates them. What gets your customers out of bed in the morning? And how can we inspire more of this feeling? These are the highs that we all live on, and we want to activate that feeling in our customers when they experience our services. Furthermore, we want to be thinking about how can you reach your customers outside of your four walls? How can you tap into the community around you? A lot of you in the beauty industry, um, this is probably the situation for a lot of you, that your client base is local, that you know them all on a very deep, intimate way, and that you might be able to know, you could list off all of your clients, their husbands' names, their kids' names, where they went to school, where their kids go to school. And it's important to really understand what other communities are they a part of, and how can you continue to reach your customers in those other communities? What channels of communication are they using? And I'm not just talking text, phone, email, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm talking about, what are they participating in outside of? How are your customers talking to each other outside of the spa, outside of the salon? What are those other channels that you can tap into? Are they a part of a yoga studio? Do they all get coffee at the same local coffee shop? These are things that we want to identify so that we can start to associate ourselves with them outside of just the spa. We don't want to limit our services and the way that we present ourselves just inside our four walls. And the best way to identify your customers is using a tool called the customer profile. And so what I have built out on the next slide is a great way to just give a snapshot of target segments and target customers and to identify who they are, what's their identity, what are their pain points, and what are their motivators. So it really snaps it all in one picture, but I do have an entire course built on this. So I'm going to walk through this part fairly quickly, just as a refresher. And if you haven't seen it, go check out that Understanding Your Customers course. So what we have here is we have one example of a customer profile. And what we like to give our customer profiles a picture. We like to give them a name. We're going to call her Julianne. And yes, she has a picture. Yes, she has a name. But Julianne, this made up customer profile, is really just grouping in what our young customers are like. Really trying to understand who our young customers are. And so what we have here is, what we start on the right, we always start with the customer jobs, the customer identity. And so who is Julianne? Julianne and people similar to them, similar to her, are going to be young female adults, college lifestyle. She wears makeup every day. She's extremely social, has many different social groups. She uses social media. She dances, loves influencers, and she's very health conscious and works part-time. And so what is the purpose of understanding those jobs or the identity? The purpose of this is just to get a high level view of who this customer group is, just to understand them on a basis and really group them into different age ranges, understand what kind of jobs they might be working, where they live. Are they in a rural community, an urban community? All important stuff to know, just from a high level view. And next, we move into what we call the gains. These are the motivators. And so when we think of that young college female and what motivates her, we're thinking of what she sees beauty as confidence. She sees clean skin as confidence. She loves to exercise. She feels her best when she's feeling healthy. And as a result, she needs to have that positive body image. So that's what wakes her up in the morning. That's what gets her excited. We want to give her more of that feeling. So we want to give her more confidence. We want to give her a positive body image. We want her to look in the mirror after experience our services and feel good about herself. On the flip side, we need to understand, and this probably is more important than understanding the motivator, is understanding the pains, understanding the struggles that she's going through. And this is where we can get even more specific just on our industry, what pain she's facing. So Julianne, due to that busy college lifestyle, working part-time, going to class, being in clubs, social groups, a lot of the time she's on the go. She forgets to take off makeup, which causes breakouts. She's got low self-esteem when she's breaking out. Seems to be a vicious cycle. Like I said, she's got acne breakouts, always on the go, which makes it really tough to balance school and dance and work. And as a result, she really has no skin routine. And so it's really important to understand her pains, understand her struggles, because the services that we offer are going to be directly related, and the language we use are going to be directly related to solving those pains. We are the solution to her problems. That's why she's coming to us in the first place. So we have to go out of her way to really get to the core of what she's going through. And so once we do that, we're able to market and to map out our products and services that directly align. For example, this is an opportunity to have a service called an on-the-go facial. That's going to appeal to her a lot more than that mother of five that just wants to relax, that just needs 2 hours in a dark room with music. An on-the-go facial is just key language that we can use to attract a particular customer profile. And so we're going to see on the next slide of just how different these customer profiles can be. On this next one, we have the next customer profile. Let's call her Bonnie. That's the customer profile we like to give this. Like I said, it's an arbitrary picture, an arbitrary name. But this Bonnie, this older client, is going to symbolize all of those other older clients that may come through our doors. So similar thing, let's start on the right with the jobs and identity. Bonnie is 64 years old. She works part-time. She's extremely social, loves her grandchildren. She's interested in fitness, loves yoga, spending time with her family and friends. And that's just, like I said, that's the high snapshot view of who Bonnie is. Now let's go into the gains. Bonnie loves when her skin looks young. That gives her confidence. So on the flip side, like Julianne, confidence is when her skin's not breaking out. Bonnie's confidence is when her skin looks young. She loves to be active with her grandchildren. She's very confident at this point with who she is. She's a little bit older in life, so she knows she's got a very structured, not only lifestyle, but a skin routine as well. So on the flip side, what is someone like Bonnie going to be struggling with? At this age, they may have some underlying health conditions, maybe an autoimmune disease, which impacts her skin. She has aging skin, dark circles. As she gets older, the loss of elasticity happens. Along with this comes wrinkles. She may be experiencing dry skin. And ultimately, a big pain of hers is she can't always do what she once could. And so the services, you can clearly see how we market our services to Bonnie is going to be very different than how we market our services to someone like Julianne. And we have to be very intentional with how we go about this and the ways that we communicate. Going back to channels of how are we reaching someone like Bonnie is going to be very different than how we communicate with someone like Julianne. If Julianne is most likely to be on a social media platform such as Instagram, are we going to be having an Instagram post focusing on loss of elasticity and autoimmune disease? Or is that Instagram post and the language going to be about fixing breakouts, on-the-go skincare treatments, and whatnot? So you can start to see that it's very important to get a great and a really thorough understanding of who the different customer segments are. So this is just a high level, but we have an entire course just on understanding your customers. Be sure to check that out. Moving on, like I said, once you have those different problems that your customers have, the next step is identifying your revenue streams, identifying your products and services that are going to be directly related to what those problems are. You should be able, if you come up with a list of all your client pains, you should be able to draw a line to your products and services that directly solve those pains that they're facing. Remember, your customers come to you to solve their problems. We need to have those solutions that clearly do so. Along with that, when you're identifying your products and services, get creative with those revenue streams. Don't just limit it to what you do in the treatment room. How can you expand different streams of revenue? This could be e-commerce, increase your spot treatments, double up the services that you offer, start to pair services, get creative. Do you offer consultations? Do you offer memberships in your space? Memberships are such a great way to have continual cash flow coming in. And this can be, tailor your membership, give different membership levels. Maybe level 1 is once a month. They pay $50 for one treatment a month and 10% off of retail. Level 2 could be $150 a month, 2 treatments, 20% off of retail. Get creative. There's a lot of opportunity in memberships. Along with this, have you ever considered renting out your space? There may be a freelance yoga instructor nearby that, can give you $10 a head for anyone that comes into their space on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock when you normally would be locking up. And so I highly encourage you. These are just 5 ideas that I came up with quickly, but I hope that this gets the juices flowing a little bit and you start to think of how you can start expanding and getting creative with those revenue streams. And we're going to touch on this really towards the end of this presentation, but I will give you a hint. If you do not get creative with these revenue streams, at some point you will reach what I call the profit plateau. You always have to be innovating and with what you offer. And if you don't, you're going to reach this plateau. We're going to dive into it towards the end of it and how you can break through this profit plateau. So now once you have identified how revenue is going to be coming in, how cash is coming in, it's equally important, if not more important, to understand how cash is going to go out. You have to have a firm grasp on what your costs are. And this is just a high level of what your costs could be, but your overhead, how much is the space that you are renting? Do you own the space? What's your overhead in retail products or even the products that you're using in the treatment room? Payroll for anyone that is a business owner watching this. I can empathize with you. I understand this is the highest cost. No matter what, when it comes to owning your own business, especially small to mid-sized businesses, payroll is going to be your most significant cost. And so for any employee out there, maybe not employer, for any employee, always be cognizant that the payroll does create a big stress on your employer. And it's always nice to be cognizant of it, and always great to help out and get creative yourself of how you can ramp up those services and those revenue streams. Get creative with your owner, with your boss, with your supervisor, manager, whoever it may be. Get the juices going of how you can continue to bring in consistent money. Along with costs are advertisements. Subscriptions are huge. I know a lot of us are probably subscribed to 20 plus things that we are paying for every day, every month, and we may not even realize it at this point. We may have forgotten about it. But along with this, it's really important, once you total all of those costs, understand what's your monthly break-even point. At what point are you being profitable? What's your break-even point? And also, what's your profit point that you want to exist at? Breaking even is great. I know there's a lot of businesses out there that would love just to break even after the day, but it's also important, maybe what percentage do you want to be profiting as well? Take it a step further. So identifying costs is equally important as identifying those and revenue streams and services. Alrighty, so once you do this, once you have an idea of your customers, what their pains are, what your services are that are going to solve those pains, and what your costs are that are going to outweigh those services, you have to understand what makes you different. Now that you know that you're qualified to solve your customer pains, why should they come to you and not to your competition? This takes a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection, but it's really important because once you do understand this, this is what you have to market, this is what you have to promote and let shine through in everything that you do. So what we call this is understanding your unfair advantage. And I know that language can be a kind of confusing for a lot of people that have never heard of it, but really what we're doing here is we're understanding what makes you unique, what makes you different. And so you have to think, what do you offer that cannot be easily replicated? What can someone not just copy paste into their own brand? Of what do you offer that your customers can only get through you? And honestly, if this is a hard question to answer, this is your wake up call to get creative. If you can't answer this, if you don't know how you're different than your competitors, how you're better, it's a wake up call and an opportunity to really reflect on how you can get there, how you can start to do things different. People love different. People love to be heard. They love to feel understood. They love customer service. Like I said, this is my passion of helping entrepreneurs, much like yourselves, for anyone watching this. If you ever want a brainstorming session with me, feel free to reach out. I love it. We can get out the sticky notes, the markers, and we can just have a great afternoon with that. But this is really important that once we do identify what your competitive advantage is, let it shine. This is the key of what your brand is. And once, like I said in the beginning of this presentation, once you identify your brand, be consistent with it. Let it shine in everything that you do. What makes you different makes you stand out. Your customers come to you because you offer something different. So that's a little bit about the unfair advantage. Moving on, this is the fun part. We all love marketing and sales, mainly because this is how money comes in. And so when it comes to marketing and sales, what we're trying to do is meeting our clients where they are. This all ties back to what I said about customers and where they exist. Where are your customers talking? What are those channels? What are the communities that they're a part of? And once you're able to do this, insert yourself into those channels and use language that is solving those problems. And this extends beyond just their skin problems, their hair problems, their nail problems. Really, this is all connecting their personal and beauty problems. Understand how they connect and how you can insert yourself in that channel to use the language that is going to solve those problems. Along with channels, I know the first answer a lot of people think of is social media. And obviously, social media has an important role in running a business today. I know it can stress out a lot of people because they feel like they have to spend hours and hours upon it just to get heard. But here's just a couple tips. And I mean, obviously, we run social media ourselves. And I always like to say that your goal with social media should be intentional. And so I always like to say that social media is a great way to maintain customers, but there's only so many hours in a day to go attract new ones. I think social media is a great way to build that community and tap into that community and your existing customers, keep providing value and services, keep them up to date with what's going on in your space. And really, it's another dialogue to have with those customers outside of your four walls. But it can be exhausting to try to find new customers because it's even hard to identify who's local on social media. It feels like just about everyone on the world of it is. How can you find new customers to come in person? That can be kind of difficult. So social media is important, but always understand exactly what your goal is with using it. I also have some helpful marketing resources. Canva, I'm sure a lot of you are already using it, but Canva is just the answer to the answer to saving money, to saving time, keeping everything cohesive and in brand. They have all of these great social media templates already built out for you. All you have to do is change the colors, change the wording, slap on a logo, post it at Instagram, and call it a day. So you don't have to be a designer. You don't have to be a graphic designer. Anyone can use Canva. It's super easy. And best of all, it is free. That's a great marketing resource. Also, another marketing resource is at GM Revolution and Gina Marie. We use an automated post platform called Later. And as you can see, what I do is that every Monday, I plan out what our social feed is going to look like throughout the rest of the week, what time it's going to be. You can input the captions, the hashtags, and it allows me to free up time the rest of the week to where I don't have to worry about making sure something is posted every day. And my favorite tool of this is you can actually see in the future what your feed is going to look like there on the right. It gives you a preview of what your feed's going to be, and you can align it to make it visually pleasing. I'm not a designer. I think that's probably one of my weaknesses. But if you like what you see on the right, if I can do it, I promise you can as well. Later is a great way to automate your posts and allows you to focus on your business while still having an online social media presence. Alrighty, as we wind down, this is the fun part of the course, something that we all deeply care about, and that is how to reach new customers. At the end of the day, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow. We want to sustain our existing customers, but we are always trying to reach new customers. So like I said before, social media is a great way to maintain relationships. In today's day and age, with so many people on it, it can be really difficult to find new relationships or start new relationships that last, that take a little bit of time to nurture. So it's hard to find new in-person customers on social media. But, that doesn't mean that it can't be done, but it's not meant to really build that, it's great to build a personal brand on social media, keep people up to date, keep your existing customers up to date. And I'm not saying that you should not be on social media, but you have to be cognizant of really what are your goals for social media. And so in reality, for a lot of you listening to this, your customers are in the local community. And so the best way to reach new customers is to meet them where they are. I talked about this earlier, but this is just great things to think about. Are you able to partner with local organizations, some yoga studios, churches, coffee shops? Where are your customers interacting outside of your four walls, and how can you meet them there? I also love referral programs, especially your raving fans, your most loyal customers. If they're referring people to you and generating revenue for you, encourage them to let them keep talking to each other and reward them. For anyone that's bringing in money for you, reward them. The referral program should be both ways of what we like to do at Gina Marie Products. Every time you refer someone, that goes to, I believe it's either $15 or $20 off of your next purchase. And we've got no problem with being generous like that because they're building that community for us. So reaching new customers, tap into the existing customers, tap into their community, and grow from there. Alrighty, so now back on what we talked about earlier when I mentioned that profit plateau. You may be watching this and be thinking, Michael, I get it. I've tried all of this. I'm still stuck. I'm feeling stuck. I'm only able to generate X amount of dollars each year. It's barely covering my overhead, and I'm working harder than ever, and I'm not able to grow. How can I do this? Well, I like to say, there's a way to get past this profit plateau, and that time is money. All of us know this. Your time is valuable. And most importantly, understand that you cannot scale time. You only have a limited number of hours in a day. You can only perform a certain number of treatments in a day. And so we don't want to let our income be limited by how many services that you can give in one day, or else you'll be exhausted and still not growing. And so in reality, retail is the answer to all of this. This is how you get past that plateau, become an expert in selling retail. And if you are just an employee and not an owner, talk to your owner. You should be earning a commission if you are out there selling for them. You know, maybe, I don't know, you can be 10% on any new customer products that you sell, you get a commission, maybe 2 to 5% on any returning customer if you sell them new products for an existing customer. And if you're sitting there and you've liked what I've talked about so far, but you're a little turned off by this, and you're starting to get a little uncomfortable, because I understand the situation you may be in, that you are a skin, hair, nail professional. You're not a salesperson. I understand that. I understand that sales is not your job, but understand that sales is your opportunity to elevate your income, your employees' income, which will ultimately elevate your income as well. So I know that this skill does not come naturally, but it is a skill that can be learned, and practice makes perfect. At Continuing Educations, at Gina Marie, we always say that we are focusing on prescribing and not selling. Our protocol here is every time after any service that is done, walk through your client, let them know which products you used during the treatment, why you used them, go into the science behind it. These were the active ingredients. You are the professional. Let them understand that you have extensive product knowledge. And so when you do this, you're prescribing, you're letting them know what you did in the treatment, and here are the steps to take it to the next level for home care as well. This is what you would suggest to elevate those treatment services to the home as well. And so we like to say you're prescribing them home care, you're not selling them retail. This is just a slight little mental shift, but it makes a big difference when it comes to the ability to sell retail. So I do want to conclude with one of my favorite pictures. We've got a great relationship with Dermoscope Magazine. Go check them out. I'm sure a lot of you are obviously very familiar with them before, but they posted this on their Instagram feed, and it just stuck with me because it's so true. And I'm sure all of you have heard this before. But, this picture, Jim from The Office, when your client tells you they buy skincare off of Amazon, this might be your reaction too, because, and this just really summarizes what I'm talking about when I say that you're the professional. I guarantee you, your clients are buying product from somewhere. Which clients are not using products? None of them. So they're going to continue to buy products. They may as well buy it from you as the professional, as the person that knows what is best for their skin. So hopefully this can stick with you and kind of give you a new perspective on how you look at retail sales to get past that product plateau or the profit plateau. Alrighty, so that concludes our session on creating a successful business model plan. I know we walked through a lot, but my job is to just give you a high level and be here to support you along the way. So feel free to reach out to our team. I'm more than welcome to, more than happy to sit down and walk you through this one-on-one. We do have one-on-one coaching sessions available if you want to talk skin, if you want to talk business. We have a great team that is ready to help you through your professional journey. So like I said, we are Gina Marie Products, we are GM Revolution, but we're also Continuing Educations to elevate you professionally as well. So your homework, fill out this Canvas model as best you can. Reach out if you have any questions, and we're going to see you on the next one. Thank you.